And the same thing, he was just going to work and going to school and coming home and just watching life, just watching us, just observing the family. And we was real. We didn't pretend and all that kind of stuff. He heard, he heard our arguments. He heard us disciplining our children. And again, later on, he tells the story of all the things that he learned just being in the house because he didn't have a father to show him how to be a husband and a father. He's married today with 2 children. And he always points back to the time that he was living in our house, and that's what taught him how to be a husband and a father. Not because I sat down with him to say, here's how to be a man. Here's how to be a husband. Here's how to be a father. Just every day. He comes in from work or from school, and he's just watching us in every day. And so I'm telling you this today so that you don't have to feel like the call that God has upon you involves just standing up here in front of people and talking. You are ministering to people right now. I'm telling you now. Just by being there. Just the decisions that you've made. Your decision just to live your life for the Lord. Your decision to fight through, persevere. I'm going after God. Your decision to say, I'm going after God. Each one of you, your decision that you made. Lord, I love you. I do love you, and I obey you, and I'm following after you. Just everyday decisions that you're making and the choices that you're making. The ones who are around you who are watching your life. It's really not a lot of talking that Harrisburg needs. And I can tell you that I don't feel qualified from the clerical accreditation and requirements standpoint to stand before you and to teach and to talk week after week. In fact, the Bible's qualifications for being in this position is not even the same as what has been established in many religious orders. There are men and women who are able to stand up and to preach sermons and to bring messages simply because they received training and teaching and a degree, a bachelor's, a master's, or a doctorate degree. And so they are, quote, qualified to stand up here. But actually, according to the Bible, that's only one out of a long list of issues that needs to be in place in order to stand up here. He says, and it's funny that I'm talking to you about this because those are the very things that Paul told Timothy is what you're supposed to look for in leadership. He said, if a man desires to be a bishop, and that word bishop is not what it has become today. When people say bishop now, it's a level of authority that a man or a woman can reach in a hierarchy in a church organization. But when he said bishop, as it was written in his original letter, that word just simply meant overseer. If somebody desires to be an overseer in the church, then he says he needs to be the husband of one wife. Don't need to be greedy, not in it for money. Needs to have a good reputation in the community. You got to be able to look at his kids and see that they're reverent and respectful toward him and the things of God. I mean, all of that's there. That's the qualification. Then he says he needs to be able to teach, not a quarrelsome person. That's what the Bible says, is what qualifies you to be in a position of overseeing. It's not they're dynamic, charismatic. They can really whip the word and impress people with the things they say. In fact, the man who wrote the majority of the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, historians say he was very boring to listen to. It's very boring. He's so scholarly because that was his background. He was a scholar. But he's very boring to listen to. In fact, real story, he literally bored somebody to death. There was a guy who was While Paul was teaching, this guy fell asleep and fell out the window. It's true. He bored somebody to death. Guy fell out the window and got killed. But the same man who bored him to death just went on right on out there, laid hands on him, and raised him from the dead. And what they do? They went right back to teaching and continued to talk. So sometimes I'm feeling bad because I'll preach for an hour and a half in here, but these folks in those days, they could go 4, 6, 8 hours of teaching. And there are times that you can understand why for some of the conversations that we have in here, where we start asking questions and going back and forth, and everyone starts sharing with one another what God's speaking and doing in their life. And so you can see why that would happen in the early church, because the next thing you know, we've been here 4 hours. We've been here 6 hours. We've been here all night. It wasn't anything that anybody planned, but it was just God orchestrating the meeting and questions being answered and doing like we've done. Then sit down and eat, take a break and eat, and let's get back to it, because you just love the fellowship. You love the word. You love watching God move in people's lives. And that is so very much a part of what God is doing in and among us.